my parents came to this country with almost no money. I've gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies. And then people tell me, oh, that's because you had privilege. They tell me white privilege. It's sort of weird. It's sort of an interesting, it's kind of interesting, actually.
Do you tell them?
As I take the blindfold off, and now you have your answer. But the interesting answer is, actually what I do tell them, Tucker, is that I did have privilege. I didn't grow up in money, but I had two parents in the house, a mother and a father, with a focus on education and a faith in God. And you know what? That is the ultimate privilege. That if I'm going to enjoy that, every kid in this country ought to enjoy it too.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about an exchange that happened between Tucker Carlson and GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, who I believe is, honestly, at this point, I mean, he's been more impressive than basically most GOP candidates, okay? We're talking about guys that have been senators and governors and have been in politics all their lives. I mean, you have Vivek Ramaswamy, who has came into this race and has performed exceptionally well despite low expectations and basically being a nobody in regards to just a figure in politics before all this, okay? And one of the reasons why is, again, you have exchanges like this where Vivek is going to talk about the real reason that January 6th happened. And I really want to share this because I've also made some of these same arguments in the past for why January 6th happened. And this is something that the media does not want you to hear because what he's saying is 100% true. Take a look.
So let's just go through the list. Another thing you can't say is that maybe January 6th, while appalling on one level, maybe it was not an insurrection.
So let me talk about, I haven't talked about this much in the campaign. I'll be very honest with you. You want to know what caused January 6th? There's such a temptation to say that there's one man whose name is unspeakable. We can't.
No, first of all, it's QAnon. It's QAnon.
It's QAnon. You want to know what caused January 6th? Is pervasive censorship in this country in the lead up to January 6th. You tell people in this country they cannot speak, that is when they scream. You tell people they cannot scream, that is when they tear things down. And so the reality is, we were told that you could not question where the virus came from when we all knew it came from a lab in Wuhan, which now they admit. We were told that you could not send a private message to someone on the eve of an election that Hunter Biden's laptop story was actually a true story worth considering before an election. You were systematically suppressed. So think about this. You told you had to be locked down, had to take a vaccine that was mandated and forced down your throat, stay locked down in your home while Antifa and BLM roam and burn the streets of this country. So that's the lead up of one full year of telling people you have to shut up, sit down, and do as you're told. And then you tell them, okay, there's an election where you didn't get the information that you needed, such as the Hunter Biden laptop story being real and suppressed. That's what caused January 6th, is a cycle of censorship in this country. And until we look ourselves in the mirror and admit truth on that, we will not move forward as a country. And I think that's the real cause. And we're not, and I'm sorry to say this, Tucker, but I think until we reckon with that reality, I worry that is the beginning of, it's a friendly parley compared to what's to come, unless we step up and speak truth, restore integrity, and actually lead us to who we are as a people, rather than sweeping the truth under the rug.
Yeah, so before I get into my commentary on that absolutely perfect answer, I want to compare it to how other GOP presidential candidates like Mike Pence, answer the question, because this tells you everything you need to know in regards to why Vivek Ramaswamy is more popular in the Republican Party than somebody like Mike Pence or some establishment politician like Tim Scott, who definitely would not have gave an answer like that to that question. Take a look.
January 6th. What was that? Do you think that was an insurrection?
Well, first, can I just take a moment just to say thank you to the family leader, to Bob Vanderplatz and the whole team here, and to our friends at Blaze TV, including my old friend Glenn Beck. We're standing here on a historic day in Iowa, when in just a few short hours, Governor Kim Reynolds would take to this stage and signed into law historic protections for the unborn. And I think all the members of the family leader here in Iowa prayed and worked and fought to bring us to this day. And it's an honor to be with you all. It really is. Now, as to that day, let me just say, all I know for sure, having lived through it at the Capitol, is that it was a tragic day. I've never used the word insurrection, Tucker, over the last 2 years, but it was a riot that took place at the Capitol that day.
Why do you think the people who swarmed the Capitol on January 6th were mad? And why haven't we talked about that?
Well, first off, I would tell you that I think the January 6th committee was a partisan committee in the Congress of the United States. And it failed its historic mission of bringing the facts forward.
Yep.
And I know your commitment to bringing all the facts to the American people, Tucker. And I know we're grateful for that. The truth of the matter is, as some members of the staff of the January 6th committee said after it adjourned, they spent all their time focused so much on one individual and on placing blame that they spent very little time focusing on law enforcement failures that happened that day and intelligence failures that happened that day. And I hold to the view that we can never let this happen again. We can never allow the capital of the greatest nation on earth to be subject to a riot for any purpose, for any motivation. And for that reason, we need to understand why law enforcement that day was not better equipped, better prepared, where the intelligence failures were. And I believe that in time we'll have those answers.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Was Mike Pence's answer, like, super terrible in regards to the two clips that I showed you guys? No, right? I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was definitely better than his answer to Tucker's question in regards to why is he not concerned about American cities over Ukraine, in which, allegedly, he, said that, hey, that's not my concern. Now, Judas is coming out here and saying that, well, I was saying that to Ukraine, right? I was saying that in regards to Ukraine and sending tanks to Ukraine or whatever, or whether or not they have enough tanks is not my concern. He said he wasn't talking about American cities. However, I mean, if you listen to the clip, you can interpret it both ways, right? Very easily, you can interpret it both ways, okay? Judas definitely probably destroyed his career either way with the way he answered that question. He definitely should have been more clear about what he was referring to. But anyways, his answer, unlike Vivek Ramaswamy's answer, did not talk about the lead up to January 6th and the root issues that people were having, the root frustrations that people were having with this country and what we were experiencing leading up to January 6th. Again, I made the exact same argument that Vivek Ramaswamy made, in regards to why January 6th actually happened. Again, we as a nation literally went into a lockdown, right, for a virus that over time we all witnessed as a country was simply not as serious as they made it out to be. However, they wanted to continue to lock us down. They wanted to continue to push mask mandates on us, social distancing mandates on us. They wanted to continue to exercise power and control over our lives while the elites and the woke revolutionaries were able to do whatever they wanted to do, right? You guys remember, Democrats were having parties. They were not wearing masks. They weren't social distancing. They were doing whatever they wanted to do, And then they will always smear Republicans who, were caught doing what they wanted to do during the pandemic, right? And also, while at the same time, you had the BLM and Antifa riots in which you had people out in the streets literally destroying the country, in the middle of COVID, right? While telling everybody else, you got to be in the house. And the elites, the media, Democrats were excusing it. They were excusing it. They were saying, it's okay. George Floyd died, right? This is what they were saying. And then we had the greatest transfer of wealth ever happen, in the form of the COVID stimulus package, right? The first one, in which, a lot of big corporations got bailouts, right? They got money, okay? And the American people got measly stimulus checks, right? And mom and pop shops were being closed down. They were told that, hey, you can't operate, okay? If you had a mom and pop shop, you could not operate, right? But if you had a Walmart, right? If you're a Walmart, you're Target, you're a big box retailer, you're a big corporation, nah, you can stay open. You're an essential business, right? You guys remember all that stuff? Okay? Again, not to mention, at the same time, you had BLM, right, and Antifa trying to burn down your business, okay, as they forced you to close your business, okay? Yeah. That's what happened. Add in on top of that the obvious and overt censorship from the left-wing liberal media when it comes to the Hunter Biden story. They tried to interfere with the election, okay? They tried to affect the outcome of the election by censoring that story, a story that everybody knew was true, right? You had the Tony Bobolinsky thing, which Tucker at the time was the only journalist on television covering it, right? What was obviously a true story. He was being a real journalist. Everybody else was like, oh, that's a conspiracy. And then add in on top of that, even more censorship after the election when people were frustrated with the results and said, hey, look, I got questions, right? We got questions about this, okay? And big tech told us, nah, you can't question it, right? You can't express your frustration. The censorship after the election got more and more and more progressive, right? So again, they was telling us, nah, you can't open your own business. It's okay if BLM and Antifa riot in the street. We're going to censor information that basically affected the outcome of the election. And then we're going to tell you that if you are frustrated with the outcome of the election, hey, we're going to censor you when it comes to that too. You can't say that, right? You can't say that. While at the same time, again, the pandemic is happening, okay? You're clearly saying there's a double standard in regards to who can live their lives and who can't live their lives, who can go outside, who can't go outside, who can gather and see their family members and who can't gather and see their family members. You're clearly seeing the divide happen. Normal, everyday, regular people were frustrated. And all of that spilled over on January 6th. Again, not an excuse for the violence, obviously, but that's the truth. January 6th was a result of the frustration that everyday average Americans were experiencing basically ever since the pandemic started, and especially it escalated after George Floyd, right? Because the media said, hey, it's okay to commit acts of violence, right? It's okay to vandalize and destroy buildings and to riot if you're frustrated with what's going on in this country. That's what they told us, right? So that's why you got January 6th. It's not Trump's fault that January 6th happened. It's actually the media's fault that January 6th happened. Big tech's fault that January 6th happened. The government's fault that January 6th happened. Because they're the ones that are responsible for the oppression of everyday, average, normal Americans who simply just wanted to live our lives. We were sick of the hypocrisy. We were sick of the BLM and Antifa riots. We were sick of being censored. We were sick of being told that we can't stand up for what we believe in. That's what happened. And Vivek Ramaswamy is the only GOP politician that I've heard clearly articulate why January 6th happened. And this is why he's surging, right? This is why he's surging in the polls. I mean, even Trump has come out and started praising Vivek Ramaswamy.
Ramaswamy is leading most of our candidates. And you know why? Because he says Trump is one of the greatest presidents in the history of our country. And I said, I like that guy.
Right? Because at the end of the day, the guy is running basically a damn near perfect campaign in regards to how to speak to the American people and to bring people together and to stop all the divisiveness that is happening in our politics. And because of that, if Trump was smart, okay, which I believe he is, I believe Trump is a smart man, he should make Vivek Ramaswamy his VP, right? I mean, it's not even close. A Vivek Ramaswamy or a Trump-Vivek Ramaswamy ticket is a winning ticket. Vivek Ramaswamy can definitely make up for all the things that Trump says that may kind of push people away and hopefully, just hopefully, maybe actually help change some of Trump's language to not push certain people away, right? Especially during the general election. He's the perfect VP candidate, right? Now, I'm not sure if Vivek would actually do it, okay? I mean, a lot of people are saying at this point, they don't want to be a VP, obviously, because they're trying to win. They want to be president. But push come to shove, I want to see a Trump-Ramaswamy ticket. I think that is the best ticket that Trump could go with in order to win, okay? I think that gives him the best possibility. Vivek Ramaswamy makes up for all the things that Trump may be weak at, okay? And I think that's the ticket. That's the ticket we need to go with at this point, right? I would be so excited for that ticket, okay? I would be stumping. I would be knocking on doors, right, left and right for that ticket, okay? That ticket will have me running through, all types of crazy stuff, right? I'm just saying. I'm just getting excited thinking about it, okay? So I'm just saying, I'm super impressed. I really want to see a Trump Ramaswamy ticket, and then I want to see after that, Ramaswamy run and get another 8 years or whatever. That would honestly be best case scenario in my opinion. I would love to see it. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.